What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Koppai Podcast, a Nintendo show, episode 60. Wait, is it 68?
Yep, 68.
Episode 60. I had in my notes.
So.
I had episode 69 in my notes, and I'm like, but wait, we just did 67 last week. It's episode 68. I am one of your hosts, Kazd and Risk, joined alongside Mr. Koppai himself, Zach Risk.
You're too slow.
Oh, come on now. In case you're new here, we are an all Nintendo podcast that posts each and every Monday morning here on youtube.com/Koppai Gaming, as well as SoundCloud, iTunes, and podcast services all around the world, including Germany. That's right, including Germany. Each week we discuss the biggest Nintendo news by unclogging the Nintendo pipeline and then diving into a topic of the show. We also talk about what we're playing in the world of Nintendo. The Nintendo pipeline this week includes Metroid Samus Returns at Gamescom over in Germany. I actually didn't even plan that. I was talking about Germany earlier because I was looking at our watch time and our YouTube statistics and all that, and actually one of our biggest views and watch time is from America, Canada, and Germany, which I thought was interesting. And yeah, a big show is going on over in Germany right now, and Metroid Samus Returns is going to be there, so we're going to be talking about that, as well as the Pokemon World Championships and some news coming out of that, and Minecraft Better Together and the next Splatfest. So stay tuned for that. But today's main topic of the show is all about Sonic Mania. What we think about the game, what reviewers are thinking, how Sega and Sonic Team should react, maybe will react to Mania's success, as well as what the future holds for Sonic with Forces coming out this fall, and so much more. We got lots to talk about with Sonic Mania, so we're going to blast through the news trying to get to that. If you like all of this, be sure to super smash that like, subscribe, share button, and the little bell button to support us and stay up to date on anything and everything Koppai, including reviews, discussions, and more. And also Let's Plays. I think I'm aiming to have a Sonic Mania Let's Play series start this week. I played through the first few zones in a Let's Play recording, playing through the game as Knuckles, actually, which has been really fun to play through as Knuckles. And I'm hoping to have those out, but I didn't get all 5 recorded, so I don't have the full week ready, so I don't know if I'm going to hold on to that until I have the whole week ready, or if I'm just going to go ahead and start publishing them. And we have Mario Kart, Splatoon, Zelda, all of that going up. The Zelda series has been really good. We have, he's gotten the full Tingle outfit. We're playing through Master Mode as Tingle, and now it's just like going through the daily life of Tingle in the world of Hyrule, so that's been a ton of fun. So Zach, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome.
You doing good?
Yeah, doing
great. Well, let's unclog that Nintendo pipeline.
Let's do it.
Each and every week we dive into Nintendo's pipes to find out what's happening in the world of Mario and friends. And this week we have 12 pipe plug-in news bits that need to be dealt with. Number 1, 2 Nintendo presentations are set for this week. Gamescom is going on this week. Is it Gamescom or Gamescon? Probably Gamescom because it's Games Community, not Games Conference. So Gamescom.
Yeah, I thought it was Gamescon, but that makes sense. Gamescom. It's something. What does it matter really?
It doesn't matter. It's going on this week, and Nintendo has already stated that they are going to have a pretty significant presence at the show. My Nintendo News reports that there will be 2 Nintendo Directs, is what My Nintendo News said. I don't know if that's are they really doing Directs? Because if we have 2 Nintendo Directs coming out this week, that's a pretty big deal. So be on the lookout on August 23rd, and the second one would be on August 24th. They'll be focusing on Super Mario Odyssey and Metroid Samus Returns, respectively. With the producer and the creative director for Metroid on the 3DS being present at the event. So regardless, whether they're actual Directs or whether they're just kind of showcases on the Gamescom stage, we're going to be getting tons of Metroid news this week as Nintendo does that kind of final push into the game's release. And so, super hype.
Well, what I was going to say about that is, I don't know about you, but I mean, just in the shower the other day, I was having that thought about, it's been a while since we've had a decent Nintendo Direct. I mean, it's been
water's running over you, and you're just standing there like, when's the next Direct?
I know, it just kind of hit me. Yeah. And, as I'm stepping out, I'm like just drying my hair, like realizing, worry came across my face. as I realized it'd been about 3 months almost since we've had a Nintendo Direct.
You like wiped
And
the fog away from the mirror, and you like didn't even recognize who you were anymore.
I guess
You're just like,
I guess maybe
where's
3 months is a bit of an exaggeration because what was interesting though about it is I went online and went to the Nintendo Reddit, which I usually do like very frequently every day, just
while you're in the
constantly
shower?
Yeah, and
Just standing there.
they had this post made about Nintendo Direct and how it's been the longest period between a Direct since I think the reveal of the Switch or something like that. It's
Okay.
been like 45 days now that it has been since we've had a Direct.
But they had like an ARMS
presentation.
and a Splatoon one pretty close together, so
Yeah, it's true.
they may have like kind of
But
blown
we
their
haven't
summer
had
load.
one that is actually, because that's what's kind of interesting about this too, is it says it's focusing on Odyssey and Metroid: Samus Returns. A lot of people are waiting for just a kind of general, overall direct that covers the UI and tells us what's next for maybe Virtual Console or
Yeah.
updates for the
We
eShop.
need a fall one. I would expect a fall one somewhat soon if it's not
Yeah.
really this week, and then another one then in January that covers the spring, or December, January, that time zone to cover, the spring games and what's coming in the spring. January is usually a pretty big time though for Nintendo, like a second E3. So
True.
we'll see with that. Speaking though of Metroid, the Metroid series producer is basing the 2D Metroid's future off of the success of Samus Returns. We've seen this a lot in the news lately with other developers saying, well, we'll make more EA games if people buy 2K15 or 18 or whatever it is, or we'll make more Sonic Mania. Yeah, if you make more Sonic Mania, or Capcom will bring more Street Fighters over if you buy Street Fighter 2. Metroid's no different. Yoshio Sakamoto said in an interview with Game Informer that, quote, through the development of Metroid Samus Returns, I was able to really grasp the possibility and the fun of a 2D Metroid. Like when I finished the first game, if there is another opportunity to make another Metroid, that is something I would love to do. Of course, that really depends on how much people really want to buy a 2D Metroid. So if you want more 2D Metroid, go out and buy 2D Metroid, which I think a lot of people are, like even a lot of Switch owners are like, this will be the time I go back to my 3DS. This will be when I go back. And so super hype. I think just like Sega's been blown away with Sonic Mania, I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised at how many people, support 2D Metroid.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving forward, number 3, Telltale's Batman: The Enemy Within, aka Batman Season 2, has been listed for the Nintendo Switch. Developer Telltale Games has already supported the Switch and could be aiming to support it even farther with the latest season of Batman, which premiered earlier this month. A season pass disc for the game was listed on Amazon US for the Nintendo Switch for an October release date. Often Telltale will release the first few episodes as digital-only titles, then the whole season as a physical disc later. So hopefully we get confirmation of this soon. It's important to note that we didn't get any of the standalone episodes on the Switch yet. And besides Minecraft Story Mode, we don't have any Telltale support on the Switch yet, even though Guardians of the Galaxy came out, and I believe, I think actually that's it. That's the only thing they've talked about. So could go either way. Could be Amazon US just being like, oh yeah, put it out for everything, like list it for everything, and then find out later, oh, it's not coming to the Switch. So we'll see.
Well, I think that the Switch is going to inevitably get probably Telltale support moving forward.
They're on like iPhones and stuff. So
yeah, and it seems like a perfect fit for it on the Switch because those kinds of games are great for both the cinematic experience at home, but also maybe good for the bus ride or kind of like reading a book and getting
plane
another
ride.
chapter. Yeah, so you can kind of get some of that story played in and experience all that on the go. So I think that it's just a natural fit, and Telltale's engine will easily run on the Switch. And
definitely.
So, yeah.
The only bummer part is you wouldn't be able to get Season 1 because that's already out. And so some of your choices from that wouldn't be able to be carried forward. Although it's kind of, Telltale games are really awesome that if you go into the next season, like they carry over your decisions, but it's more of like kind of cute little nods. It's never like completely game changing in the next season. And a lot of times they're able to even make it so like a character can ask a question like, wait, what did you do in Season 1? And you can kind of just make it up on the spot. Like you can kind of make up what your history was. And so it's fine.
Yeah.
Number 4, a Pokken Tournament DX demo is coming to the Nintendo Switch. Pokemon said in a tweet on August 19th to, quote, keep an eye out for a downloadable demo coming soon to the Nintendo eShop, end quote. So this was said in the midst of the Pokemon World Championships happening this weekend, so keep those eyes peeled. It could literally be any moment, maybe even by the time this episode goes up. They could just be like, that demo's live. And so
yeah, that'll be exciting to get back into that game. And we've already played it, of course. We had it on the Wii U. I still have it on the Wii U. I think.
I sold mine.
Yeah, maybe I sold mine too already. I think I held on to Splatoon for sure is the one that I was like, oh, I can't get rid of this. But Pokken, I think I may have got rid of. So yeah, there's just I can't even go back to play that version. But yeah, I'm just excited mostly to see how it's maybe looks a little bit better or maybe runs a little more fluidly on the Switch. Or just
to play it on the Switch, the Pro controller is going to be awesome.
Yeah,
feels better than the gamepad.
Yeah, I never had
has
Pro
its little
controller.
upgrades, but for the most part, it's the same. But it feels just way better because the Switch feels more responsive and
right.
just
Yeah,
feels better in your
hands.
hands.
It's a good point that I never had a decent, really controller for the Wii U beyond when there was Smash came out. We got the GameCube controller adapter, or some of those games that worked with the classic controller. But even that. Those were usually more like virtual console or older games. All newer games, if you really wanted to play it seriously, you kind of have to have a Pro controller or use the gamepad. And the gamepad just naturally out of the box as your main controller is not nearly as good as handheld Switch or even just with the Joy-Con grip adapter. And then especially having the Pro controller is It just adds. I mean, that is an awesome, amazing controller. It feels great, and I had
to figure out. You can use it. Can you use it with PC? I thought I heard because it's Bluetooth. I need to figure out how to do that because it feels amazing. And if
the only thing that's a bummer is I hate the whole with the Xbox One controller that also is a really good controller that hooks up to the PC, but. Once you get it synced with that, it's kind of like you have to resync it with your other system. That's what I really like about the 8BitDo controllers is that there's a button combination for really easy switching between the Switch and PC, Android, or whatever device you want to use it with.
Yeah, I need to get one of those.
Really nice.
Those 8BitDos.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I watched because last week or 2 weeks ago you were talking about 8BitDo on the show. And he got me all hyped for it, ooh, that sounds really good. I YouTubed some unboxing videos of people unboxing them, and Alex from Nintendo Life, the whole "What's up, beautiful people," you know who I'm talking about,
yeah.
Or what he said something like that. He calls everyone beautiful people. Anyway, He unboxed it and he was like, "I have here an 8-bit Do controller, and it is Do, and I can prove it because of this speaker here." And he got the 8-bit Do speakers. And when you hit the on switch on those, they sing 8-bit Do, the little speakers turn on and sing the name, and they totally sing out 8-bit Do. And he's like, "See, they're saying 8-bit Do," and I'm like, "No, man, it's totally 8-bit Do." And all the comments were "How'd you hear 8-bit Do?" They're 8-bit Do. And so it's 8-bit Do. And even if it goes back to the whole GIF versus GIF thing, the guy that made the GIF says it's pronounced GIF, but that doesn't even make sense. So even though he made GIF, he's just wrong. And even if 8-bit Do says it's pronounced 8-bit Do, we're going to be on the right side of history here, just like we were on the right side of history with Team Mayo.
Yeah, I don't even know why
we'll get to Splatfest later.
Emotionally attached, I want to prove this thing, because I easily quickly switched to just 8-bit Do because it just made sense. But some people seem to have an attachment. But I have heard a few people just naturally do 8-bit Do because it just kind of flows that way almost.
Yeah, well, that's the way it looks and probably is phonetically supposed to be said. But yeah. Anyway, moving on. Number 5, a little bit of random cool news in the world of Pokemon. Pokemon Gold and Silver for the Nintendo 3DS are getting a physical release, or physical releases. The classic Pokemon games will be getting a boxed edition in Europe that comes with shiny packaging and a download code for the game. They'll be releasing September 22nd, and hopefully they make their way to the U.S. But Zach, you know what will be making its way to the U.S.?
What's that?
Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
Oh, it's too much Ultra. It's too...
Yeah, Ultra Street Fighter, Ultra Pokemon, Ultra Sonic Mania. New details.
Ultra Mario Kart Deluxe.
Oh, that actually is what we really want. New details have emerged of Ultra Sun and Moon. The Pokemon Company International and Nintendo have revealed that there's new story elements, Z Power Ring, and character information for their latest Pokemon entries. The Ultra storyline will focus on the Pokemon Necrozma, Necrozma, who stars alongside the original legendary duo Solgaleo and Lunala. Dark clouds are popping up everywhere, and you gotta get to the bottom of it, little 10-year-old. So that's the story there. Necrozma, I don't think I had necessarily seen this Pokemon by itself. It looks like, you know how Solgaleo and Lunala have like the black kind of polygonal look to them now. Necrozma or whatever is
Necrozma probably.
Yeah, is essentially just that, style. Kind of like in Black and White 2, there was that new Pokemon in between them, like Kyurem or something. That was the one that you would breed into it or whatever, and that's what we got going on here. So basically a third legendary for the Sun and Moon entries. New styles are also available for your character, and you can expect a wider array of Z moves. And I think there's even like new forms of Pokemon and all of that. But yeah, this past week we got tons of stuff. So check out, I think there's a new trailer showcasing all of it. Check out the Pokemon's YouTube channel to get to the bottom of that.
Yeah, it does look really, just a quick comment on Ultra Sun and Moon.
Yeah, go for it.
I think that I might have to pick this up. There's that debate over waiting maybe for the new Pokemon game because we know there's another one.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes that thought of, is this at all just kind of somewhat shoot in or just a transition, which it of course probably is to some degree, but
yeah,
it just seems like Game Freak are really good about always making a quality experience at the same time. And if it's anything like Black 2 and White 2, which are just arguably like the best all around Pokemon games they've ever released, if they actually expand upon it in that way, and this is the definitive Pokemon to play, which it probably will be until who knows when. Some people are saying they really think we're going to get Pokemon next year, but I have my doubts. We've talked about that on the show, about 2019 being more realistic for that. But that's, people also make the
2018 Smash and Animal Crossing, 2019's Pokemon and Metroid. Those are, I think, the kind of big things.
People make the counter argument that they took a break, I guess, between X and Y or something like that to kind of learn everything, and they wouldn't do it again, or they're already not doing it because we know this new one's in development already. I just kind of feel like they're still possibly going to take extra time because they still have to work on
and developing in HD. Like, I don't know how much or the Pokemon Company is hands-on with Pokken Tournament and some of the Wii U Pokemon or all of that. But developing in HD, apparently Nintendo learned, and other developers have learned, is sometimes I've heard a little bit of like an extra step. So you got to really learn new design mechanics and new art styles, and really take full advantage of HD development. And they're going from very low resolutions on the 3DS to complete HD on the Switch. And completely jumping platforms, going from 2 screens to 1 screen and to HD, like that all can be pretty tricky. And even though they are the Pokemon Company, Nintendo had a tough time with the Wii U when it first started off, and they're Nintendo, and so I think everyone else was a little bit more staggered. Like when the PS3 and Xbox 360 switched to HD, every kind of individual third-party game company was able to slowly migrate to HD. But even then, you saw by the end of the PS3 and Xbox 360 generation, people had learned to do HD graphics like way better. And so,
yeah, definitely.
I wonder if how the Pokemon Company is going to be able to handle that switch.
It kind of transitions into an interesting quote that I heard from, I don't know, like one of the lead guys on in Pokemon, and he was talking about
Lead guy Pokemon.
Yeah, he was talking about how with the 3DS, with especially Sun and Moon, you notice how they do more of an actual anime, the facial expressions, they do way more animation, and he was talking about how they really enjoyed taking advantage of the new ways to tell a story, and that if they have the technology available, they want to use it in the biggest way to make it most like probably playing the actual show or something. Maybe not photorealism, but just as close to watching a movie up, the same.
Yeah.
So they're on par with the anime. And I think that Sun and Moon were very close to that. And so I wouldn't be surprised if by the Switch version, it's literally like you're playing the show.
Well, when we first saw that Pikachu reveal for X and Y, it like granted, I think they did a little bit extra oomph to Pikachu to make it really look like, the anime one, but we were like, whoa, that looks like a clip from the anime, like, especially when it's on the actual native 3DS screen. And so, yeah, I'm expecting like kind of Ni no Kuni level of maybe animation, kind of like what you see from those, PlayStation games, or Persona, like gets really good into the anime vibe, especially. Yeah. So that'll be super exciting. And yeah, I think that's all we have for Pokemon this week, but get hyped for Pokken demo and Pokemon, or just Pokken coming out, and maybe, even more details emerging as you record and as this episode gets published from the Pokemon World Championships. Number 7, some other random news. Apparently, Switch owners prefer playing the Switch at home. Nintendo of America asked in a tweet where Switch owners preferred to play, and 7% voted airplane, 5% voted bus or train, 5% voted for the beach or park, and then 83 of the 47,000 people voted for home as the best place to play their Switch. And so, yeah, only 17% overall not voting for home, with the options of bus, train, plane, or beach. Cosmoogle, a user on Twitter, tweeted in response, quote, "Where's the waiting halfway up a cliff for the rain to stop so I can continue climbing option?" Obviously a jab at Zelda when you're trying to climb up the cliff and it keeps raining. Others tweeted various gifs of the man pooping while playing the Switch from the Nintendo Switch ad as their response. Momo's tweets said in response, quote, "Boy, tough choices. I just love playing video games in public where everyone can look at me so much." And then lastly, user HS00129, which is a beautiful username, said, quote, "In my imagination where I actually own one," end quote. Fortunately for that user, there are more reports of Switches in the wild. So I thought that was just a cute, funny, random news story that most people like playing at home, but then the responses and the jabs at Nintendo were even better. Not necessarily jabs, but just kind of, funny community going at them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I prefer playing at home. I was taking it to work actually quite a bit and playing on my lunch breaks, but now I've been either prioritizing my 3DS to get through that backlog, or I've just been taking my phone and doing like Fire Emblem Heroes or reading some comics. I've been trying to keep my Switch at home a little bit more often. So, but yeah.
Yeah, same here. It's kind of partially the whole thing with like new technology and hardware. I'm kind of protective of it, so I don't want to take it out too much. I'd prefer to take things out that I'm a little more worn with and used to, and don't bother with as much. Also, it's got a huge digital library. It's a new expensive piece of tech.
And the saves, like if my saves could transfer over or like save on the cloud, I'd probably be a little bit more liberal with my Switch. Yeah. But it's like if you lose that, like you lose hundreds of hours. So, but
then just in general, I'm just kind of more of an at-home player. I mean, I don't, unless I'm going on a trip or unless something really kind of different, like possibly we talked about how I'd have to consider something for this school semester because I'll have some in-between class periods where I'll have a long segment, and I'll have to bring either my Switch or 3DS with me or my phone, and play some mobile games. It's like, gotta figure out what I'm going to do there. And so, the Switch is definitely a contender, but it's just kind of those situations that I'm most like would use it. Otherwise, I prefer to play on a big screen. Like I really don't really like handhelds that much and only do it to game when I have to have, a portable screen somewhere to look at, because I tend to kind of look down at it. Hurts my neck after a while. Then I forget to hold it up the entire time, like eye level, and I just prefer the bigger experience. The small screen, the small resolution just doesn't really do it as much for me. So but I still get a ton of enjoyment out of
I'd be
3DS.
interested to
I've
see like if they tweeted out a poll that's like, do you prefer playing or not even do you play your Switch at home, on the go, or both? Because, a tweet like this makes it seem like people only play at home, where I do play both away and at home. And I know some people that play exclusively, on the go. Like, they've never docked their Switch since they got it. And I know other people that have never taken their Switch on the go. And then there's people like me that take it both places. And so I'd be interested to see, like, that poll. Like, not where do you prefer playing, but where do you play?
Too, because like I was going to say, is I've put hundreds and hundreds of hours into my 3DS, but mostly just sitting in my chair at home. So I wonder what if they did another poll and had all the people that play 3DS ask where you prefer or where you even most play it, I wonder they would fall.
Yeah, because even though I love playing my Switch on the go and play it on the go a lot, I don't prefer playing my Switch at work. Like,
yeah,
it's not fun. I'd rather be at home, because I'd rather be at home.
Definitely. Yeah.
Anyway, number 8, NPD has revealed more Nintendo success for July 2017. NPD being the sales numbers for everything video game related, and NPD analyst Matt Piscatelli reports that Nintendo Switch outsold, not outside in my notes here, outsold both Xbox One and PlayStation 4 in July, stating that this was, quote, driven by new inventory released in support of the launch of Splatoon 2. Splatoon 2, by the way, was the top-selling game in July. Overall, quote, hardware spending has grown 20% versus 2016, end quote. Other notable top sellers include Crash Bandicoot, Grand Theft Auto 5, again, Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8, all within the top 10 of July, and then ARMS is down at number 17. Miitopia outsold Hey Pikmin and was ranked 2 in the top 3DS sales, with Hey Pikmin being ranked number 6 for 3DS sales.
Interesting.
So I thought it was I would figure Pikmin with the weight of that brand would be the top selling, but Miitopia number 2.
Yeah,
ahead of Pokemon like Moon and all that. Pokemon Sun I think was the top one, but Miitopia made its place up top. So
yeah, and and Grand Theft Auto just continues to do amazing. Somebody's comment I read that was like, it's just growing with the world population at this point. Like,
really though. Well, really, I think they talk about it on Kind of Funny Games Daily a lot. That they talk to GameStop employees, or GameStop employees write in, and it's like every day it's someone else's 17th birthday, they can get a mature game, and Grand Theft Auto 5 is their first mature game, or every day someone finally upgrades from PS3 to PS4 and has to rebuy Grand Theft Auto 5, or someone gets back into gaming and they buy a PlayStation and they get back into it. Now it just needs to come to the Switch. Although I guess if it could be on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, it could be on Switch, but I don't know how
it's just one of those cases. Yeah, and it's always it's not good when we saw Black Flag, for example, on the Wii U, and people make the comparisons about how they look so much better on, like, especially the PS4 and Xbox One.
And now you have Xbox One X and PlayStation 4 Pro.
Yeah.
It's like,
and so if you release a port, it's kind of like Skyrim. It's almost all of the butt of the jokes for it is how it's the original 2011 version, not the special edition version. And
even though it is a special edition, like it really is like pretty modern as far like that's the thing. There's some revisionist history there where people are like, oh, this looks like 2011. Then you show them the 2011 version. That's like, oh wait,
that's a good point.
This is really bad.
Yeah.
Or like this looks like a PS1 game, and then, like I've seen memes before where it's like this looks like a PS1 game, and then it shows a picture of a PS1 game and it looks like
well, it was kind of
terrible.
Like the whole people saying The Last Guardian looks like a PS2 game, and it's kind of like, oh, not really, because if you think back to PS2, I think it looked a lot better than a PS2 game.
Yeah.
But people say that about a lot of things.
Breath of the Wild looks like an N64 game, and then you look at an N64 game, and it's like, Whoa, like, and a lot of times people look at these classic games through an emulator, like that's making it HD, and in that case they do look kind of similar. But then when you actually look at the original processing power, it's like, oh, no way. But speaking of Miitopia, for number 9, Nintendo has applied for a trademark for Tomokori, aka Tamagotchi. This could mean that we are getting a new Tamagotchi Life, or a Miitopia, or even Miitomo stuff. I don't know. It is important to note, though, that the trademark is specifically for that word, Tamagotchi. Personally, I would love another Miitopia-like game on the Switch or mobile phones, and 3DS is just too dead for my taste to have another Tamagotchi game over there. But definitely. if they continue this Tamagotchi brand, like Tamagotchi Life was awesome, and then I loved Miitomo for the time I played it. It's very unfortunate how that kind of died out, and they just, even though I don't seem to be supporting it, like they could have easily done like a Splatoon 2 event in the game, or an arms event where you could like get wacky arms for your Mii, and we saw nothing like that. Meanwhile, there's 20 different swimsuit people in Fire Emblem Heroes. It's like they are just dumping money into that game. So it seems like Tamagotchi, whatever that means, is not dead yet. Number 10, Minecraft Better Together update has been delayed to the fall. Mojang and Microsoft have informed fans via an FAQ stating, quote, "The Better Together update will launch this autumn once it's ready, and we've satisfactorily evicted bugs from the premises," end quote. Captain Zyran on NeoGAF added, quote, "Better Together, eventually," end quote, as the update was originally slated for summer. And so you're going to have to wait a little bit longer for those realms. Better Together is the update that adds in the ability to play with Xbox One, PC, Windows players, and upload your world to a realm to be played across all platforms. And so going to have to wait a little bit longer for that, which I know bums both of us out. And I'm kind of waiting to get back into Minecraft the moment I can upload my world to a realm. And so, and play with you.
I was bummed when I heard about that too. It was like, what?
We hadn't heard anything though. I was getting a little suspicious, wondering what was up with that, because we hadn't heard like anything. The beta did just come out, but
I don't know. I forget when that FAQ came out. It's called a FAQ. Is that how you say it?
An FAQ.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember that it came out. I'm saying like a month and a half ago though. And so I mean, I had known for a while that it had been delayed, and just not knowing, because it's whenever the fall starts up, so hopefully it's kind of early fall. But
when is, let me pardon the clicker clacker of my keyboard, when's Minecon? Or they changed the name. Minecon Earth. It's an only online event this year. They're not doing an actual in-person event. It's in 89 days, so I expect something. November 18th, 2017 is the Minecon Earth event.
They just really need to get the game on the PlayStation VR.
Yeah,
because I want it on there. It's on the Samsung VR. I don't have that, and it probably wouldn't run as well as on the PlayStation VR. It seems that would be the perfect, but it's Microsoft, I guess, their involvement with Minecraft really hurts that possibility, even though they get it on every platform, and they didn't even decide to put the Oculus with the Scorpio or Xbox One X. So why are they so, like, why are they refusing? I don't understand.
Speaking of which,
Minecraft
did you hear about Minecon, like what it is?
No.
This year? Minecon, normally a pretty cringeworthy event where people can go and celebrate Minecraft. Not that it's cringeworthy to go to a event celebrating Minecraft. Like I bet I want to go to Guardian Con one of these years to do the Destiny event. Like that's not cringe at all. But the people there sometimes could get pretty cringe. And this year, I wonder if they just realized that, or didn't want to run it again because of that. Because this year it's called Minecon Earth. And their whole spin on it is that it's completely online. Like, it's just online streamed. There's no actual physical event. And so, like, the whole thing is we're going global, and we want to make it easier for more of our community to participate. So we're focusing on interactive coverage of a condensed extra special show. So basically a Nintendo Direct. But, like, it's funny, the promo stuff is like, what, where, when, a one-of-a-kind live show, the internet, this November. Like, they're just going to town. I think they even had a trailer for it where it was like, are you always bummed out about refreshing a website to get your ticket? Are you always nervous you can't get swag? Well, we'll just deliver it to your door. It's like, all right. So I thought that was funny. But yeah, I would expect something either by then, like in anticipation of the event, or maybe even on the day of the event. Like, it's available now, since it is completely online based and it's about being global and connected, and this is the Better Together update. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely make a big announcement of it, because it's been pretty hyped up. But
yeah, and it's huge. It's a huge thing.
Yeah, I just hope it actually comes through with us getting that really nice, beautiful texture.
Super duper pack.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Switch can handle
there's
that.
some confusion about that, and they've been sending some mixed messages, but I just want some verification.
Yeah.
But
Number 11, the next Splatfest is Flight versus... The next Splatfest is Flight versus Invisibility. It'll take place during the weekend of September 1st and 2nd and focus on these superpowers. I found a particularly funny thread on Twitter. I've been lurking around Twitter this episode. User Zeroboy said, quote, invisibility because I can board a plane without being seen. But then Dan Salascio said, but with flight, you wouldn't need to board a plane. And then the Excel rebutted with, so you just carry all of your luggage around by hand? To which Dan responded with, well, the thing about invisibility is that you would be blind. Light can't reflect off your eyes if they are invisible. And I thought, you know what? That's a pretty good close to the thread. Like, they showed them. Because
that's a good point.
My question is, like, how does this all work? Because if you're invisible through, as Dan says, your body just, ceases to be viewed or picked up by a light or whatever, then yeah, your eyes wouldn't work. But the Invisible Woman from Fantastic Four of Marvel Comics, she bends light and is able to be invisible because she bends the light around her body, in which case people can't see her then. But because she has the ability to bend light, she can also make force fields and she can make other things invisible. And so I don't really know if that's what they mean here with invisibility. And Per Schneider on Nintendo Voice Chat was like, wait, what happens if you eat pizza? Because if you eat something, do you see the food going into your throat? And falling down into you? Like, when does it become invisible, and how do clothes work? Like, there's so many questions about invisibility, and there's no context to Splatfest, which makes it go back to the whole ketchup versus mustard thing, where it's like, if you get, or ketchup versus mayo, where I can make so many things with mayo, like ranch and sriracha mayo and all of that, but at the end of the day, the question just needs to be quick, instinctive, mayo or ketchup. And in that situation, you just gotta go straight to mayo. And I would think, without thinking about the technicalities of gravity or light or any of that, I'm leaning towards flight for now.
Yeah, that's kind of what my instinct goes with as well, is flight. Because the first thought I had was, I don't ever dream about being invisible, but I have had so many dreams since the most amazing
anything, I have nightmares
thing.
about being invisible. No one sees me, and I'm just crying. Please, someone. Notice me.
But the dreams I have where I fly, it's incredible, and it feels so good, and I'm just free as a bird, just have you ever had those dreams where you can kind of lift yourself up with your mind almost? It's really interesting. And sometimes
when you ride a roller coaster, the best part is that feeling of flight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But the only thing, the thing that makes me go with invisibility a little bit more is, there is the whole moral argument, but with invisibility, there you can go into a shop and get some food if you want anytime, without being seen.
But you could also fly into a store, grab all the money from the cash register, and just bolt out of it. How fast can you fly?
The thing is, if you're the only person that can fly, can you become world famous for it? Can you sell your ability to get money or something? Or
like at a circus, you're on a tightrope and you fall off and you're like, whoa, I am not harmed.
Is everybody else getting these powers and everybody gets the choice, or are you unique? Because if you're unique, both of the powers, you could probably make a good living off of utilizing for people's amazement. But I don't know. I think Flight I have to go with just because it would feel like the best. It would be like the most. I feel like
unless it's a lot of work and you have to like really struggle to get your body up and you're like sweating and you have to like flap your arms to go. It's like running.
I would say that you don't have to do that because that wouldn't really be flying. Like that'd be like, I don't know, like a chicken trying to fly. Like it would be not the same. It's like it'd be fluttering and everything. You wouldn't
floating,
have flight. It'd be either like not perfected. You'd have to work on it a little bit more, and maybe you'd be flying better in the long run. But I don't know. I just think, flight. I've had the dreams where I've been flying away over the houses, and it's the most amazing feeling, and I want to have that feeling in life, and just to be able to always fly to anywhere over all the buildings and roads, just quick routes. I've wanted to since I was a kid. It's just like the childhood dream, and invisibility has not been really like one that I was like, oh, I gotta be invisible. So
I think there's a lot more questions with this Splatfest than there was with Ketchup versus Mayo, but I'm hoping, the other thing I heard discussed a lot is I hope it doesn't come down to, once again, Pearl or Marina. Like, we need to drop that quickly. Because if people are only voting for something because of Marina, it's like, no. I
think that it has died down a bit.
Yeah, I want some hardcore statistical numbers here of who prefers what. Not who prefers Pearl or Marina. Because, honestly, I voted for Mayo and was shouting from the rooftops, Mayo, 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 before I knew that it was Pearl's choice. As a matter of fact, I think the way they originally announced it was Mayo was like on the right, so it seemed like it was supposed to be Marina. And then it was after the fact that it was like, oh, Pearl was on Team Mayo. Like, whoa, what? And I was just Mayo regardless. And so, and the other thing I'm worried about is a bunch of little, crappy Splatoon players picking Flight because Flight's awesome, and then they suck at Splatoon. But the more sophisticated minds of people that, are thinking all sneaky weaky.
No, you don't decide based on that.
I know. That's why I'm talking about, like, okay, at the end of the day, what's the best choice? And Flight, like you say with your dreams, is the better choice. So regardless of it's Pearl or Marina, I don't even know who it is right now. I'm going with Flight. Right now, right here. But let's round out the Nintendo pipeline with number 12 with the US downloads for the week. The first one is Telltale's Minecraft Story Mode, The Complete Adventure, which is coming to the Switch tomorrow when you guys listen to this. Jackbox Party Pack 1 and 2 are out on the Switch right now, and Chicken Wiggle from the creator of Mutant Mudds and Zeo Drifter is out on the Nintendo 3DS. And so I've been hearing that's a pretty fun game, and it has like a Super Mario Maker mechanic where you can design your own Chicken Wiggle levels. So go check that out.
I think I remember that announcement. Zeo Drifter was such an incredible game.
Yeah, one of my favorite games ever. And so if you still are playing your dead 3DS console, go be sure to check that out and support them. And hopefully he brings that over to the Nintendo Switch. But I don't know how dependent it is on two screens. But yeah, that's everything for the Nintendo pipeline, and with that, we can give it a satisfying splush and watch it swish and swash into oblivion. And now we can get to the topic of the show with that Sonic Mania fever. Sonic Mania is out on the Nintendo Switch, and 2D Sonic is officially back and better than ever. Sega has confirmed that Sonic Mania is officially the highest rated new Sonic title in 15 years. I think since Sonic Adventure, if I'm correct.
Wow.
I think so. And they said, quote, thank you all so much for being part of this journey with us, end quote. It is currently sitting at an 88 on Metacritic for the Switch, an 86 for PlayStation, and an 85 for Xbox One. Although I did that like little thing where it's like, it's highest on Switch. But the reason it's highest on Switch, I think, is actually because when reviewers submitted their scores to Metacritic, most of them submitted them for PlayStation, and only the Nintendo site submitted only for Switch, and they tended to review a little bit higher. And so the Switch only had like 15 reviews to work with, but the PlayStation version had like 50 to work with. So it's about an 85 to 88 on Metacritic across the platforms and across reviews.
Yeah, to still get that high of a score, even despite having a lot more reviews for PlayStation and Xbox, maybe. I don't know about that, but that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. Series producer Takashi Iizuka was tasked to deliver a product to, quote, dormant fans in the midst of Sonic Mania or Sonic's 25th anniversary, targeting those who played the Sega Genesis but haven't really played Sonic since. Iizuka then worked with Christian Whitehead to bring something new from the old games, throwing aside traditional predetermined schedules and focusing on the passion project of the game. For example, Studiopolis and other stages were considered getting cut for the development schedule, but then the final product was essentially completely uncut. Because of this, the game was worked on to the last minute and thus is only digital with no plans for DLC at the moment. For those of you that don't know, Sonic Mania is a modern Sonic game with the technological limit of Sega CD, higher than Genesis but lower than the Sega Saturn. GameStop gave it a 90, stating that Sonic Mania methodically uses its sentimental appeal to great effect, but in the process, it heals the wounds inflicted by its most disappointing predecessors and surpasses the series' best with its smart and interpretive design. Nintendo Life gave it a 90, stating it's a true return to form for the mascot, celebrating the glory days of Sonic. IGN, with a score of 87, says that it's truly the classic throwback longtime series fans have been clamoring for, but there's plenty to love here even if you didn't grow up with a Genesis. Sonic Mania is a stellar example of a retro revival done right. Game Informer, with a score of 85, adds that there is an exciting level design, a stellar soundtrack, and cool expansions on the original formula. And so that brings us all to the questions of what do we think personally of the game, these reviews, its development, and the future of Sonic moving forward in light of Sonic Mania's success critically. Because we don't know if it's a success commercially yet. I would assume so because of all the hype around it, but we don't know that for sure. And so we know critically as of now. We'll know in September how it charted on NPD sales and all of that. But with judging from Crash Bandicoot this year and how much of a shocker that was and how much retro fans were able to really support that title, I'm assuming Sonic Mania is going to blow expectations out of the water for Sega and even those that are kind of following the game because, it's the best, in my opinion, it's the best Sonic game ever. Especially the best 2D Sonic in my opinion, but I think it's just the best Sonic overall. I loved Generations was actually probably my favorite before this, even though people will hate me for that. I just thought Generations was the perfect blend of, 3D and 2D. I really, really liked Generations. But, before that, there's like those two groups of people that grew up on 3D Sonic and then grew up on 2D Sonic, and then people that grew up on both, and I think Generations mixed the best of both worlds. But this is way better than any 2D Generations level, and 2D Sonic at its core I think is better than 3D Sonic, and so this is just the best. The music's the best, the art style's the best.
I'd have to agree with you. I think that at least as a standalone Sonic title, I think this is the best out of, if you include this with the classics. I've played through all of the classic games. I went through Sonic CD not too long before Mania came out, and Sonic CD was actually one of the fastest Sonic experiences I've ever had, but it also has an incredible replayability value because they do like 3 versions of the stage for every single stage that you play, or every zone and every act. So it's got a lot there. There's extra levels, but it's kind of mixed in with the same thing, and so it can be kind of a little too quick, and unless you really take advantage of exploring everything, which it kind of wants you to do. And there's a cool achievement list, which I kind of wish Mania had more of built in, or just a little bit extra in terms of actual challenges or something like that. But for the most part, just as a standalone Sonic campaign experience, I think it's the best. It's better, I would say, than Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is probably the best of the classic games. And I would say that because of the way that it's structured, in terms of there's a mini boss and that is really good, and then there's also a final boss that's even better for like every zone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that's not really done in a lot of the Sonic games, and not done as well as they do in Mania, because I think that's one of the big things that was kind of lacking in all the original Sonic games, which they bring back a lot of the boss fights. So a lot of them are just the same thing, but they're a lot of the best boss fights, and they've also refined them a bit, so they're a little more challenging. There's a little more pattern recognition. I just think overall it's just a lot better because of how much it just feels fluid. It feels like there's a nice progression where you're going fast and getting through a level, stop for the mini boss, get through that. It's all so perfect. They've done an amazing job. So I agree with all the reviews that it's definitely either 9 or even a 10 out of 10 game. For me, it's super nostalgic for me. Having like Sonic 2 was, I barely remember because I was so young, but I saved up, I believe, in quarters for the Sega Genesis, and got it, and got Sonic 2 and played just the crap out of Sonic 2, never beating it, but getting through playing the first 4 or 5 zones just over and over and over again, and then just because when you turn it off, it was just time to start over, and you'd fool around with it was before open world games and stuff, which is kind of crazy to think, but you just kind of explore the beginning levels and just have fun.
You and I'd be Tails and pick you up, and we just fly around and explore.
Yeah, just mess around for forever. And so it's just super nostalgic, but then also just really well designed. It's got the great, I think Sonic works well for speedrunning, so the time trials with the leaderboards is perfect to have. I have done a lot of grinding and trying to get my time trial score up.
I haven't really touched that too much.
And I think that might be the best way to experience Sonic is through kind of speed running, because you got to go fast.
Yeah, well, I've actually, I think you've played a lot more Sonic than me. You've been a huge Sonic fan for as long as I can remember, and I've definitely, loved Sonic and, am super nostalgic for it, but you even more so. And I think I'm starting to learn with Sonic Mania that I'm not the best Sonic player, and I think people will see that in the Let's Plays. I kind of suck a lot of the game, but I love the game, and I, enjoy the music and the setting and the graphics and the, Sonic in general. I've always been a huge fan of him, and, in Smash Bros. And all the other stuff. And I think I kind of grew up, because I'm a little bit past that, the highlight of the Sonic era. I think you were really getting into gaming when, Sonic was at his peak in the classic time, where I was a few years lagging behind. And so we may have missed that, because I really came into Sonic and really loved Sonic when it was Adventure and Adventure 2.
Yeah,
and so
definitely.
The classics were always the classics to me. And I actually played, Sonic Riders. I remember playing that a ton, where it's you skateboard through the whole thing, and it's you're going through Babylon or something. I'm not too sure. Just that, it's Sonic. You never know. And so with these classic Sonic games, I'm actually really, really, really bad at times. And so I die and get game over a lot. It's taken me a while to get through the game. And the cool thing with that is when you go through the level a second time, because you get game over, you immediately go way faster and can just be okay, boom, 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 boom. Okay, I know there's a spike there. That's gonna kill me. Quickly go over that. And it reminds me of Shovel Knight was one of the best examples I have of kind of a classic game, even though it's not classic. It takes a lot of cues from classic games. What I did the first time I ever played Shovel Knight was every checkpoint I would destroy. So I never had a checkpoint through the whole game. So every time I died in Shovel Knight, I had to start the entire level over. And by the end of my time with Shovel Knight, I could beat the whole game in an hour, because I just knew, you can run through all of Shovel Knight without ever stopping. They designed each level where, with either the pogo stick ability or whatever, you can just run through that game. And Sonic is the same way, obviously, gotta go fast. You can run through these Sonic levels, and if you get it timed just right, you can run through and jump over the spikes, jump over the levers, jump and hit that bouncy pad, hit that enemy, curl into a ball, spin dash down, go over there, and then, it's crazy to me. I have no idea how to do it. I need to watch some of those videos, but that you can beat Green Hill Zone in 30 seconds, because I'm still a minute or two,
Oh yeah.
Like I'm getting past the first couple trees there, and it's 30 seconds in. I'm like, wait, people are done already? Like, no
33
way.
seconds is my best time.
Yeah, that's just still mind-boggling to me. But when I played Sonic Lost World a lot, you and I were like top 10 in the world for that for a little bit, because we got that down too. So it's something that you just need to study and learn. But I think Sonic is at its best when it kind of feels like a rhythm game, when Sonic is running and you're kind of telling him to jump, slow down, and speed up in sort of like kind of with the rhythm of, the background and the music, and you kind of feel that like you're going and you're just kind of pause, click, 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 pause, and you're kind of going through like that. Feels the best, and is, one of the reviews said it here. What did they say? Oh, GameStop said that it, methodically uses its old appeal and its, old process, while also kind of healing the wounds that, were disappointing in the past. Because, sometimes Sonic, it's like, what makes a Sonic game a Sonic game? Is it just going through fast? Because then it's just an auto run level where you're not really playing it. So then, okay, let's just throw in a bunch of obstacles and make it so you have to do the homing and dash attack a million times to get through this jump part. And then it's not fun and fast anymore. It's just, trying to get over these obstacles and stop and get over an obstacle. And where Sonic's at its best is when it combines those to kind of create a rhythm. And Sonic Mania does that super well.
Yeah. Well, there was a part I was doing my grind of Green Hill Zone 1, and Kayla was watching me, and I just do it over and over again, and I'm just in such a rhythm of it. There was it was one of my best runs where there was a section, and I literally just kind of was going so fast, so much momentum, just jumped and basically skipped through the entire part within seconds. One that usually, there was a couple stops in, I was just like boom, 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 boom. And Kayla was like, whoa, like you just like totally skipped through that entire part. And that's one of the amazing things I think
Get
about
your money
the game.
back. You just skipped over the game.
But the only way to do that is to know and to have done it so many times.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's a rhythm to it, and it's not that you can just automatically go fast through the level and beat it in 30 seconds. You have to know what you're doing. You have to really have a control over Sonic and to know his moveset and the spots and where the enemies are. Because, that just it adds a whole new dimension to the game once you start playing it that way, I think. And it added, like when we played Lost World that way, it added a whole new excitement and the competition to it. And I think that's one of the best things about Sonic is the levels, like you say, are built in that way that there's a perfect route, there's a perfect time to get through it. They're tested in kind of that way, but it's not just you run through it and immediately get through it. You have to know what you're doing. You have to play it a few times, know where the enemies and where the tricks are.
Yeah.
And then also know how to take advantage of it. Play it a few times more to even know like where the best parts are to execute, like the new drop dash and everything.
I need to get better about that too. Like I don't even really use that much. If anything, it's usually accidental where I'm just kind of slamming buttons and I smack the ground and dash off, and I'm like, crap, no.
That adds a lot. I wanted to tell a quick story about. It reminded me when we were talking about just the whole classics and me and you and with Adventure and me being a little bit earlier. I still remember like the Sega Game Gear when that came out. I wanted a Sega Game Gear so badly, and with Sonic on it, so I could play Sonic on the go, even though I was like 4 or 5 years old. And I remember it was Christmas, and we were at Grandma's house, and I got the Game Gear. I'd been wanting it so bad, but I'd like gotten really sick that morning, so I wasn't feeling good, and I just had the most like uninterested like, and they were like, "What's wrong?" Like, something's really wrong because he really wanted the Game Gear in this Sonic game, and he finally got it. He's like not even wanting to play it, so they like rushed me to the hospital, and then it was like I became like all delirious after that, and don't even really remember. But I just will always remember the fact that I got the Game Gear, and it was the weirdest thing that I'd wanted it so bad, and I was so excited, but I couldn't like show any emotion. I was just so sick, and I don't know what was wrong, but I did.
I remember another Sonic story. I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, I had when I was little, I cut my leg. I have a scar on my leg from jumping over a box that had like a piece of glass in it, and cut my leg open. I had to get rushed to the hospital to get stitches, and I believe we had it once I got my stitches and was all healed up. Mom felt like so bad or something for having this box out and getting cut up, and we were kind of spoiled that she went out and bought us a Dreamcast. I think that was like her apology or something, or not even maybe necessarily an apology maybe, but more so like just oh, this'll, while you're in bed recovering, here's a Dreamcast, which awesome, cool, thanks Mom.
Yeah,
and with that, obviously, we got Sonic Adventure, and if my memory serves me right, I was playing through Sonic Adventure, flying through. Maybe it was a Sonic Adventure 2. I'm not too sure. Can you play as Knuckles in Sonic Adventure 1? Because I'm gliding through as Knuckles, and it's doing that whole rap like, I feel the Chaos Emerald in my feet. It inspires me to move, or something like that. And that was the night our house burnt down. Yeah, our house burnt down in 2002. And I think we were playing the Dreamcast. 'Cause I remember Mom rushing in and being like, "Grab the Dreamcast and pack up. Like, I know, we gotta go."
I think it was basically like when we plugged in the Dreamcast is kind of what almost overdid it. And
it was Sonic the Hedgehog that made the burnt our house down.
I know. Yeah, that was crazy because, and I'm thinking back on it, it must have been because it was 2001. I think we got it. So I wonder. I mean, the Dreamcast must have been really marked down by that point. I think it was way on sale. And so we were a little late to the game. I think even maybe Sonic Adventure 2 was already out.
That's why. Yeah, we got like 1 and 2 with it or something.
Yeah.
Like a special bundle up. Because I know it was at Walmart. I still
remember it the next morning, because we had to go over to Dad's and spend the night.
Yeah.
And we'd hooked up the Dreamcast there, and it was like that morning we're like playing, just like chilling out, like just woken up, and we're playing, I think, the level maybe with the whale that comes up and chases you, just playing some of the early parts of Sonic Adventure when we get the phone call that's like the house just totally is gone, and we just kind of like pause the game and like just look at each other like, what the heck, like what?
Our house
is gone. Yeah, it was the craziest thing. But Sonic was definitely.
I pulled out this photo the other day, like we're eating on like little plates, and like we had Sonic plates growing up, and unboxing. We should also add, we got this special collector's edition of Sonic Mania, and that was, I mean, I don't know how many people are gonna be able to like offer review impressions of that, but that is a work of art with the Genesis and the statue, and even like the little classic cart. Like they just did so good with that, and even the whole branding and marketing for all of Sonic Mania. Like I think, throughout the whole YouTube video of this podcast, I just have the animation playing for the opening animation, and just everything about it oozes nostalgia and fun. But like it's crazy how much it's all a blend of like classic, like as if Sonic had never stopped, like if it just had kept going into 2017 and never changed, because it is HD, fluid, bright, vibrant, modern animation, but just with an old nostalgic style. So
yeah, it's perfect.
And kind of to close out the show, I mean, I also maybe want to get to like maybe some of the games we were playing this week. I mean, mostly Sonic Mania, but the only other question I asked is like, do you think we'll get a Sonic Mania 2? What do you think is? I think you mentioned just when we were talking on Facebook, like, the Sonic team's probably feeling the pressure now for Sonic Forces, because like it's not an if, it's definitely going to be compared to Sonic Mania. And I think, I'm very hyped for Sonic Forces, and I think Sonic Forces is going to be a lot of fun if it's anything like Generations, and if it's essentially a Generations 2 and better with a custom character, and they had like Shadow and Chaos and all like the best enemies of Sonic through the past decade or couple decades. Like, it seems like it's going to be an awesome adventure and story. I mean, essentially Sonic Adventure 3 or whatever. But that doesn't beat the nostalgia of Sonic Mania. And I just wonder, like, what's going to happen if Sonic Forces, underperforms compared to Sonic Mania. Like, I think that's going to be a little bit hard, just because surely the marketing budget for Sonic Forces is going to be even bigger than Mania, and it's going to get a retail copy, and be a big fall release next to Black Friday and all this sorts of shopping. Parents can just grab Sonic Forces, where Sonic Mania maybe isn't as easy to do. But I just really I wonder like what the future is. Like, surely they're going to, I think just with Sonic Mania's success alone, even outside of the success of Forces, I think they're going to be like, all right, time to do a Mania 2,
Yeah.
Like, surely, even if it's another $20 game, like, it's just another small level pack, like, surely they're going to be doing more and more Sonic Mania. Whether they call it Sonic Mania, I don't know. Don't really care. But I think they're going to keep doing it.
I think they're going to get right to work on the next sort of Mania game. It could be like Sonic Frenzy, or, just try to keep it with that formula of the Mania name.
Yeah.
In terms of Forces, I don't know. We've heard some kind of mixed reports about how good that game is. I don't know if the perception of, because it's kind of like the whole IGN thing where they basically completely did a flip on their position on Sonic, where a year ago they were calling it out, saying Sonic was never good. Let's just be honest. Like, it was always a really bad franchise, and just there's nothing redeeming about it, and let's just let it die. And then all of a sudden Sonic Mania is announced, and they're like, wow, this looks awesome. Like, Sonic is coming back. We're ready for Sonic to come back. And so
the bummer part is
some other reports.
With things like that with IGN, like, usually there's lots of employees that love Sonic, but then it's like, Justin Davis on GameScoop that's like, Sonic sucks. And it's like, one of the main faces for IGN, so everyone's like,
well, Brian Altano said the same thing. Marty Sleva said the same thing. They're all in agreement, and they all kind of did the flip. Maybe not Justin. Maybe he's still on the whole, like, Sonic.
I bet he still hates Sonic, yeah.
But
meanwhile,
Marty,
Damon Hatfield's like, I love Sonic. Like, Sonic's great.
Yeah, definitely. I think Damon, he's the one that still loves Sonic and was kind of confused by everybody. But But yeah, and there's other people too, not just IGN, that were saying, like, they played Forces, and everybody since they played Mania from day one, even just like the earliest stages, all said it felt great, felt awesome. It seems like it's going to be an awesome game. Mm-hmm. But we have heard reports of people playing Forces, especially having to try the whole custom character thing, that it just doesn't feel very good, and that's a kind of a weird, like, gimmick that they've added into it, where they're doing this, like, third, like, custom thing, and it just doesn't feel right. It's just kind of playing with some of the things, the formulas that maybe hasn't made Sonic too great over the years.
Well, that's the thing with, like, Generations is, like, or, like, the problem with Sonic Team in the past few years, is, like, people are like, man, the Sonic portions of Sonic Unleashed were awesome. You guys should just do that moving forward. And they're like, okay, we'll do Sonic Colors. And it's like, man, Sonic Colors is awesome. Maybe cut out a few of the color perks and stuff and just focus on the Sonic part, and they'll be awesome. They're like, okay, well, here's Generations. And it's like, oh, man, Generations is perfect. Just do that again. They're like, all right, we'll do it again, but we're going to add in a custom character. And it's like, no. Like,
yeah, and they're starting to go back.
Just do the Sonic part. Like, that's all we just want. A Sonic game. We don't want a werewolf mode. We don't want time traveling and all sorts of things. Like, we just want Sonic the Hedgehog and the way, like, in just the most purest form. And that's what Sonic Mania was.
Ridiculous, over the top, fast fun that also has some really cool boss fights and some nice platforming moments mixed in to kind of offset the just incredible running fast and just jumping over. It's like the combination, they nailed it with Mania, and I think that Sega's taking notice. I hope that Nintendo's also taking notice, because that's one of the other things I wanted to kind of mention, was that that Sega is right now kind of dominating the virtual console. Even though Mania is not a virtual console game, it's kind of like having an old classic Sonic the Hedgehog out on a platform that has no virtual console right now, minus the Neo Geo games and minus, like the Shovel Knights, the indie games that kind of give you that feel. Sonic Mania is kind of dominating it right now. It's at the top of the charts. It's at the the top selling chart on the eShop. It's just totally taking over. And so Nintendo, it's obviously going to be eating into sales that they could be getting, selling Super Mario Bros. Again for the millionth time, or Super Mario World. Like, people are craving the retro style again. It's kind of back in style. And even like Kotaku is writing in articles about how the Switch is making classic retro gaming cool again because of just people wanting to pick up their indie titles on it, having kind of the feel of just a sleek new hardware that goes on the go. It's kind of got a cool, twist to it that just kind of harkens back to the 90s and the cool tech. So I just think that, Nintendo has a hit on their hands, especially in that retro market, and they need to get on the virtual console or get on to even making like not a new Super Mario Bros, but maybe going back to the
that's what I was
going
to say. Like, forget virtual console, like, a Super Mario Mania where it's Super Mario World 2, and maybe you'd pull a few worlds from Super Mario World, remake a few Super Mario Bros levels in the pixel art thing and do it where it's like, what would a Mario game look like, a little bit beyond the SNES, they didn't have like, Sega had so many iterative steps, but like we don't want, an in between SNES and N64 because it's such a weird jump there. But like what we see with Super Mario Maker, where it is that widescreen format of a 2D side-scrolling Mario, and the clouds have like little shadows on them, and the hills have little tiny shadows, and everything kind of has a little bit of a pop to it. You hit a brick and it just has a little bit of an extra oomph compared to the classic Mario games. Like, make something like that and just design. I guess we kind of did have that with Super Mario Maker, like especially if you play like the levels that come pre-packed. And like I know, for example, on the 3DS version of Super Mario Maker, there's like so many different worlds and levels to explore that Nintendo has made that are completely original and have added challenges like beat this whole level in 30 seconds and kill, and don't jump, like just run. Like, so I guess they kind of have done it in that regard, but maybe beyond the Super Mario Maker, package, and just like it's a full-fledged Mario.
Yeah.
And where it is it's not made with those assets. It's not so grid locked. Like it has the freedom to go vertical and to go with curves and slants and slopes and moving objects that are actual like set pieces. Like to just really go all out on that, because they can make new Mario levels, and I guess they have. Like, I guess if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I wish Mario did this, really I do encourage you to check out Super Mario Maker on the 3DS solely for the individual levels that Nintendo made. Like, I think a lot of people didn't like that game or didn't want to play that game because they're like, oh, it's just another Mario Maker, but a lesser than. Like, yes, it is, but the levels alone are worth it because those were so good and the challenges were so awesome. But yeah, I think, Shovel Knight, I hope Shovel Knight sticks around in the 16-bit sort of era, because they initially planned on going on to the N64 sort of era is what they were talking about, like doing a sort of 3D game with Shovel Knight after Shovel Knight the original, but I don't think they were anticipating the success of Shovel Knight. And it's also like another thing where I hope that, Sonic stays 2D. I hope that Mario goes back to pixel art 2D, not this new Super Mario Brothers stuff. And, even, other franchises like Zelda, like a Link to the Past sort of game where they can just do beautiful things with pixel art. Like I remember having the guy, what was it, Matt Rathel from Graphite Labs, or I forget how you say it.
Yeah, Graphite Labs.
Yeah, where we had him on Koppai Podcast, and he was kind of talking about the process of making Hive Jump and how like they can do so many things now with pixel art that they couldn't do before, where like literally pixels like can create their own light. And because of that light, like a pixel light source, other pixels have gradients across them, and then it's just so insane looking that it's still pixel art and it has that kind of bit look to it, but it's way more vast in colors and dynamics and stuff like that it essentially becomes a 3D game.
Yeah, I think Shovel Knight for the next one, they need to definitely do like an SNES style before they go into N64. Like the first one seemed way more NES kind of based, or even like Game Boy Color, which basically was kind of a little NES.
Yeah,
I think they could totally do a Shovel Knight that's a little bit up in the sprite work. It's like kind of pseudo SNES. And then maybe go to they have one more game I think that they should at least do in the style, and I don't know why they would just skip like the SNES era and go straight to N64. That seems kind of silly. And it would be perfect for the sequel. It'd be kind of like Metroid and like Super Metroid or something, that kind of
I think so too. I bet we get a super Shovel Knight after Shovel Knight.
That'd be so awesome. That'd be
awesome.
Yeah.
That's what we need is Super Sonic Mania. But yeah, anyway, I think that concludes Koppai Podcast for this week. Zach, what have you been playing? What are you going to be playing this week? Obviously, more Sonic Mania. Anything else?
I need to finish Sonic Mania. My only kind of minor complaint with the game is I'm on the final zone and I keep having a timeout. It gets 10 minutes, you max out.
Yeah,
and the final zone, finals level, it has kind of a maziness aspect to it. And I just kind of got to get good, I guess. I don't know what it is, but it seemed like I was going as fast as I possibly could. And yeah, just getting these timeouts and then kind of start over the whole act again or zone because I like run out of lives to get like 2 or 3 lives. Yeah, it's so hard to get lives. So yeah, but that Sonic Mania, of course, and then I've been playing, of course, Final Fantasy VI. Been playing a lot more of that, just getting like a chapter done a day and trying to just keep trudging along and get through that game. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just Final Fantasy VI and Sonic Mania.
Yeah, I'm going to be playing more Sonic Mania. I'm also on the last zone. I don't think I've actually started the last zone yet. I just know I'm on it. Yeah. And so going to beat that and go through more of recording of the Let's Plays, replaying the game through Knuckles. Already really enjoying it with Knuckles. He's been a lot of fun. And playing more Fire Emblem Heroes. I just got Swimsuit Xander, I think is how you say his name. Basically Xander from Fire Emblem Fates Conquest, I believe. And he's in his swimsuit and he's holding a little pool toy, a little Lilith pool toy as his weapon. The cool thing about unlocking him is that he is a green hero. And so now I have a green hero on my team that's 5 stars. I think him and Elise are my 5-star green heroes. So I can finally do the trifecta of blue, red, and green heroes. Oh, and playing more of that Marvel Heroes Omega. I'm on the final chapter of that. Playing through as Spider-Man. I'm level 50, I think. And I'm getting into some Thor territory. I've also been reading lots of Marvel comics. Reading The Hero's Return from 1998. And that's some weird stuff going on there, man. Like, they wiped the slate clean in 1997 and, like, killed off, like, almost every hero. And then are using parallel dimensions to bring them all back, and it's kind of some heavy stuff. I don't know.
I've been watching through some Seinfeld. It's been funny.
You've been watching Seinfeld?
Yeah, I just got basically through the first season, and so I'm going to be starting season 2 here today or tomorrow, and yeah, just been watching Seinfeld.
Oh, and Uncharted: The Lost Legacy comes out this week, which I don't know if I'm going to try to pick that up or not, but that's pretty hype too. And still going through my 3DS backlog, trying to get through Fire Emblem and play through all of that. So that's what I've been playing and will be playing. But I think that's all we have for Koppai Podcast. So be sure to check out our Let's Plays going up throughout the week. And we're trying to get, sorry about Mario Kart stuff, we're trying to get that better, but that's a super hard series to edit because I have to re-record all the races, and then I try to make them a little bit more fun where it's like cutting between Zach and I, so bear with us as we try to make those on a daily schedule. We try to make them daily, so that's why we say daily, but sometimes they run a little bit late, but we always have a video up every day, so whether it's Splatoon or Zelda or Shovel Knight, or not Shovel Knight, Blaster Master Zero, lots of stuff to check out, and share us with your friends. Hashtag Koppai, and like, subscribe, and share. But until next time,